What I'm about to reveal could represent one of the most significant wealth-building opportunities we'll see in the next 10 years. Just this morning, the Trump administration executed a strategic move that caused a particular stock to surge dramatically. We're not discussing a routine government contract here. This represents the most substantial federal commitment to the critical mineral industry since the 1940s. The announcement of a staggering $3.1 billion investment that's reshaping the landscape of American strategic assets. If you grasp the implications of what's unfolding, you have the chance to get ahead of a major market trend. Stay with me through this entire video because I'm going to reveal which companies are receiving government backing, which ones might be next in line, and why this is only the beginning of a much larger movement. Welcome to Next Wave Investing, where we break down market movements and identify opportunities before the mainstream catches on. For those watching for the first time, make sure to subscribe and activate your notifications right now. We're monitoring government equity investments that are generating substantial returns for informed investors, and you'll want to stay updated on what's developing if you're already part of our community here at Next Wave Investing. Drop a comment and let me know whether you've been tracking these government transactions. Have you taken positions in any of these companies? Let's dive into the details. Here's what transpired this morning. The Trump administration secured a 10% equity position in USA Rare Earth, which trades under the ticker symbol USA. This transaction is extraordinarily significant. We're looking at $1.6 billion in combined debt and equity capital flowing into this operation. For those who've been following Next Wave Investing, you know we've been discussing the possibility of rare earth transactions for several months. But the true significance of this deal extends far beyond the dollar amount. It signals a fundamental shift in how America approaches strategic industries. Let me outline the deal structure because understanding the mechanics is crucial. The Department of Commerce proposed $277 million in federal grants through the CHIPS program. Additionally, there's $1.3 billion structured as senior secured loans. The government received 16.1 million shares issued directly, plus 17.6 million warrants for additional shares. Both components are priced at $17.17 per share, representing approximately a 25% discount from recent trading levels. But the story gets even more interesting. Alongside the government investment, USA Rare Earth secured a $1.5 billion private investment in public equity round, backed by significant institutional investors at $21.50 per share. When you calculate the total, over $3 billion in fresh capital hit this company in a single day. The market reaction, predictably explosive. The stock price jumped dramatically the moment the news became public. Now, expect some profit taking over the coming days as initial enthusiasm stabilizes. That's standard market dynamics. But here's what matters. Don't lose sight of the bigger picture developing right in front of us. Once this transaction closes, the United States government becomes the largest public shareholder of USA Rare Earth. Consider the implications. The federal government now has direct financial exposure. They're not distributing grants as charity. They're making a calculated investment, which means they're incentivized to ensure this company succeeds. They'll structure policy and support to make that happen. So why rare earths? Why this moment? And why this specific company? To answer those questions, we need to examine the geopolitical dynamics at play. China maintains control over more than 90% of global rare earth processing capacity. They also dominate 94% of permanent magnet manufacturing worldwide. These aren't obscure minerals with niche applications. Rare earth elements are absolutely essential for modern technology and national defense. We're talking about the motors in electric vehicles, the generators in wind turbines, components in fighter jets, missile guidance systems, smartphones, and the hardware powering AI data centers. Virtually everything driving the modern economy and military capability depends on access to these materials. Here's where it gets concerning. China has been actively weaponizing this market dominance. In April of the previous year, they imposed export restrictions on 7 heavy rare earth elements. The result? European rare earth prices skyrocketed 6 times within days. Automotive manufacturers across the United States, Europe, and Asia faced supply shortages. Some production facilities actually had to halt operations because they couldn't secure permanent magnets. Then last October, China escalated further. They expanded restrictions to cover 5 additional elements. They implemented extraterritorial controls, meaning even products manufactured outside China using Chinese rare earth materials or technology would require export licenses. Essentially, they adopted America's foreign direct product rule concept and weaponized it against Western companies with their own 50% rule. If you're 50% or more owned by a military end user or restricted entity, access gets automatically denied. Let me frame this clearly. China has established a chokehold on one of the most strategically vital material categories in the entire global economy. For decades, American and European policymakers rationalized this arrangement because outsourcing was cheaper. They compromised national security and industrial capacity for short-term cost savings and corporate profit optimization. Now everyone's experiencing the consequences. Businesses, consumers, and national security are all vulnerable. That's driving the urgent push to reconstruct domestic supply chains, and it's become a central priority for the current administration. Why did the government select USA rare earths specifically? Excellent question, and the answer matters. Not all rare earth elements are equivalent. They fall into two primary categories: light rare earths and heavy rare earths. MP Materials already produces light rare earths domestically in California. The government previously invested $400 million in that operation. That gap is being addressed, but heavy rare earths present the critical challenge. These are the elements required for the most sophisticated military hardware, including F-35 fighter jets. These are the materials China controls almost entirely, and these are what America urgently needs to secure domestically. USA Rare Earth provides the solution to that strategic problem. The company controls a substantial deposit in West Texas called Round Top according to industry assessments. It represents the largest identified United States source of heavy rare earths, with sufficient reserves to support over 100 years of production. But there's an additional advantage. The deposit contains lithium, gallium, and other valuable elements. So when they extract rare earths, they simultaneously recover these supplementary materials they can monetize. That fundamentally improves the project economics. Most mining operations simply extract raw materials and sell them to processing facilities. USA Rare Earth is constructing a complete vertically integrated supply chain. They're building a mine in Texas for extraction, a processing facility in Colorado, and a manufacturing plant in Oklahoma to produce finished magnets. That's mine to magnet, entirely on American territory. No other United States company is executing this strategy at comparable scale. That's precisely why we've been discussing USA Rare Earth for months on Next Wave Investing. The government is strategically supporting companies that are critically important and can reduce Chinese dependency. This selection wasn't random. Before we continue, pause for just a moment and hit that like button if you're finding this analysis valuable. Make sure you're subscribed to Next Wave Investing because we're monitoring these government actions in real time, and I want to ensure you don't miss the next development. Drop a comment below and share your perspective. Are you optimistic about the rare earth sector? Do you anticipate more transactions like this? Let's build an informed community here. USA Rare Earth represents just the most recent in a series of government equity investments. Here's the complete list of companies where the Trump administration now maintains ownership stakes. First, MP Materials. Last July, the government made a $400 million investment for a 15% ownership position. The Department of Defense became the largest shareholder, and there was a 10-year price floor commitment included. This transaction established a framework for everything that followed. Second, Intel. In August, approximately $8.9 billion was converted from Biden-era CHIPS Act grants into equity ownership, giving the government a 9.9% stake. That's 433 million shares at $20.47. They also received 5-year warrants to acquire an additional 5% at $20 per share. This structure was designed to prevent Intel from spinning off its foundry operations, which could have relocated critical semiconductor manufacturing overseas. Third, U.S. Steel Corporation. In June, the government secured what's termed a golden share. This isn't conventional equity, but it provides them permanent veto authority over relocating headquarters from Pittsburgh, moving production overseas, or closing facilities. It's focused on preserving strategic industrial capacity domestically. Fourth, Lithium Americas. In October, the government took a 5% stake in the company, plus a 5% stake in the Thacker Pass mine as part of restructuring a $2.26 billion Department of Energy loan. Thacker Pass is the largest lithium operation in the Western Hemisphere, which is essential for battery production and electric vehicle manufacturing. Fifth, Trilogy Metals. Also in October, a $35.6 million transaction gave the government a 10% stake plus warrants for another 7.5%. This supports Alaska's Ambler mining district, which contains one of the world's largest undeveloped copper and zinc deposits. Development costs are enormous, but that's exactly why government backing becomes crucial. And now we have USA Rare Earth with the $1.6 billion package for a 10% stake. This officially represents the largest critical minerals investment since World War II. In terms of market performance, there's typically a pattern. First, you get the speculation phase where stocks appreciate on rumors of a potential deal or simply because they fit the profile of likely government investments. Then, when the deal gets officially announced, you usually see a significant price jump as the news breaks. Following that, you observe some profit-taking as traders sell into the excitement. But over the longer term, you see the sustained value from having government backing, and so far nearly all these stocks are trading above their pre-speculation prices. The government partnership provides genuine value. So here's the question everyone wants answered. Which stock could be next? Now, there will likely be opportunities in defense contracting, but when it comes to explosive upside potential, the ability for something to surge dramatically on news of government backing, or even just speculation, you really need to focus on small-cap stocks in the rare earth and critical mineral segments. Let me share some names that could potentially be the next players in terms of White House equity discussions. I'll present the analysis and you can evaluate for yourself. First, NioCorp Developments, ticker MB. They focus on niobium, scandium, titanium, and rare earths. The United States produces exactly 0 of these domestically, and the CEO has publicly stated that critical minerals are a top priority across the White House, Congress, and agencies. That's a meaningful signal. Next, Energy Fuels, ticker UUUUU. Their CEO, Mark Chalmers, has publicly stated Trump needs more deals like MP Materials. They focus on uranium and rare earth processing capabilities, and they already have Department of Energy loan applications pending. That positions them favorably. Then there's Ramaco Resources, ticker MET-CETRA. They focus on rare earth extraction from coal waste using proprietary technology. It's an innovative approach that could attract government interest. We also have Perpetual Resources, ticker PPTA. Their stibnite gold project in Idaho contains one of only 2 domestic antimony deposits. Antimony is absolutely critical for ammunition, primers, and flame retardants. It's vital for defense manufacturing, and China dominates global supply. That makes this a strategic imperative. And finally, Critical Metals Corporation, ticker CRML. They have projects in Greenland, which connects directly to Trump's Greenland acquisition interests. They've already secured $50 million from institutional investors. Of all these speculative opportunities, I think this one is particularly intriguing given the geopolitical context. Obviously, we don't know if any of these will receive deals, and these are all speculative, but these are definitely names to monitor. Let me zoom out and give you the macro perspective so you understand exactly what's driving all of this. There are 4 major themes you absolutely need to grasp. Theme 1 is resource nationalism. Every major power globally is racing to secure critical minerals right now. It's not just the United States. It's not just one administration. There's a worldwide push happening because of what China is doing. The United States is taking equity stakes. China is weaponizing export controls. Europe is scrambling because 80% of large EU firms are within 3 degrees of separation from a Chinese rare earth producer. The Greenland interest ties directly into this theme. Theme 2 is supply chain reshoring. The great reshoring is absolutely real. Companies can no longer rely on globalized supply chains. The rare earth shortage from April to May of last year proved that dependence on China represents an existential risk. Businesses learned that just-in-time supply chains fail when a hostile power controls source materials. Theme 3 is defense industrial base revival. Trump's $1.5 trillion defense budget proposal and the executive order on contractors signal massive spending ahead. Every bullet, every missile, every fighter jet requires critical minerals. If America wants to maintain military superiority, it needs domestic supply chains. Period. And Theme 4 is the mine-to-magnet premium. Vertically integrated companies that control the complete supply chain are commanding premium valuations. It's insufficient to just mine materials anymore. You also need processing capabilities, manufacturing of finished products, and complete independence from Chinese processing. Companies that can execute that full integration are getting rewarded with higher valuations and government support. These are the themes you need to monitor if you're looking for the next significant winners. In these major government transactions, this isn't just about capitalizing on one stock opportunity. This is about understanding a fundamental transformation in how America will support strategic industries for the next decade and beyond. We're witnessing the beginning of a new industrial policy era, and the early movers stand to generate substantial returns. Now, let me be crystal clear. I'm not telling you to purchase any specific stock. You need to conduct your own research. You need to understand the risks. Small-cap mining stocks are volatile. Government deals can fail to materialize. Companies can struggle with execution. There are real risks here. But if you understand the macro trends, if you can identify the companies that align with the government's strategic priorities, and if you have the patience to hold through volatility, the potential upside is substantial. So here's what I want you to do. First, subscribe to Next Wave Investing if you haven't already. We're going to be tracking these government moves closely and bringing you updates as they develop. Second, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next opportunity. Third, share this video with anyone interested in the markets. The more people who understand what's happening, the better. And fourth, drop a comment below. Tell me what you think about these government stock investments. Are they sound policy? Are they creating opportunities? What stocks do you think could be next? I read every comment, and I value hearing from you. The bottom line is this: we're living through a massive geopolitical and economic transformation. China's dominance in critical minerals is a national security threat, and the United States is finally responding to that reality. The government is taking equity stakes in strategic companies. Those companies are seeing their valuations increase. The trend is just beginning. More deals are coming. More stocks will surge, and if you're paying attention, if you're doing your homework, you can position yourself ahead of the crowd. This is Next Wave Investing, and we're here to help you navigate these opportunities. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share this with your network, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep learning, keep growing, and let's build wealth together.